Well, LSU baseball loses its first series of the season and drops from that number one spot for the first time since the preseason. And look, that sucks. But I want to take time to appreciate something that I don't think we take enough time appreciating.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, thank you for making Locked On LSU your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Plus, don't forget, you can also watch us on YouTube as well. We are free and we are every single day on YouTube. My name is Caroline Fenton. I am your host, as I am every single day. Appreciate you for being here. You can also follow along with the conversation on Twitter. You can follow me at Caroline Fenton1, or you can follow along with the podcast at Locked On LSU. Today's edition of Locked On LSU is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Bummer of a weekend for LSU baseball over the weekend on the road at Auburn. First series loss of the season. And for the first time this calendar year, LSU baseball is not the number one team in the country. It's a bummer. It's a total bummer. LSU had a great night on Friday, winning that game 3-0, shutting Auburn out in game 1, game 2, 8-6 loss. Sunday, a 12-2 run rule loss through 8 innings. I always say this. Basketball, baseball, football, whatever sport it is, I'll always say this. In wins, you can find bad things. In wins, you can also find plenty of good things, obviously. In losses, there's going to be bad things, but you can also find good things in losses as well. So I'm going to take a good, bad, bad, good approach to LSU baseball's weekend and their first series loss against Auburn. Start with a good thing, break down 2 bad things, and finish off with a good thing. And I want to start off with a good thing, and it's almost like I feel like a broken record, talking about how this is a good thing, talking about how we don't talk about this enough because I really don't think that we do. And that's Paul Skenes. And I think that we all know just how good Paul Skenes is. We've all seen on full display, whether it be a Thursday or a Friday night, watching Paul Skenes pitch, how good he is and just how valuable he is to this baseball team. But I don't think we say it enough. And I really, truly do not want to take what Paul Skenes is doing for granted. Because Paul Skenes, when he's on the mound, you can almost guarantee that LSU baseball is going to win that night. Do you know how much of a privilege that is? And sometimes I have to remind myself, and I just want to remind everyone how lucky we are to be watching a pitcher do what Paul Skenes is doing, to be pitching at the level that Paul Skenes has been pitching at. And it's not just Friday night at Auburn. It's what Paul Skenes has done all season long, so consistently, every single game 1 that Paul Skenes is pitching. To know that he's going to go out there and he's probably going to give you double-digit strikeouts. To know that every time Paul Skenes is on the mound, the team that you're facing is going to struggle offensively. And to feel pretty confident every Friday night or Thursday night, depending on whenever the series is played, that you're going to win. That's not something you find very frequently. And what we saw from Paul Skenes on Friday night, it was no different. But it was a career night for Paul Skenes. And I know it's assumed at this point that Paul Skenes is going to be a good thing, is going to be a positive takeaway from the weekend. But I'm going to give it its due. Because even though we assume it every single night, doesn't mean that Paul Skenes doesn't deserve his due every single week. On Friday night against Auburn, career night, 7 1/3 innings pitched. Part of me thinks and has been thinking really ever since week 1, how long, what is the longevity of Paul Skenes consistently going out there and pitching 6 and 7 innings? I've been asking myself that for a long time now, and here we are nearing the conclusion of the regular season and Paul Skenes is pitching at the highest level he's been pitching all season long, maybe he just gets better with innings pitched. I don't know. It's been something that probably you've been asking yourself too, like how sustainable is this really, that LSU is pitching their ace for 6 and 7 innings consistently every single week? Well, he did it again on Friday and looked pretty damn good doing it. Just over 7 innings pitched, gave up 0 runs, shut Auburn out on Friday, gave up 6 hits, walked only 1 batter, struck out 15 strikeouts in just over 7 innings for Paul Skenes. The last time an LSU pitcher did that was Tyler Jones in 2011. And that was a midweek non-conference game. The last time an LSU pitcher struck out 15 batters in an SEC game was 2009. Think about all of the great pitchers that have come out of LSU since both 2009 and 2011. Guys like Aaron Nola, guys like Kevin Gausman, guys like Alex Lange, guys that weren't just lights out and incredible in purple and gold, but guys that are getting, nods from some of the best at the highest level of play in baseball. Guys that are known around Major League Baseball. Guys that have been pitching in some of the most clutch games that you could pitch in at the highest level. Those players didn't even do at LSU what Paul Skenes did in Auburn on Friday night. He earned SEC Pitcher of the Week honors, which I don't know how the heck else you could give it to anybody else. I mean, even SEC Pitcher of the Week honors doesn't even feel like it does Paul Skenes justice. All of this to say, I just don't want to take Paul Skenes for granted, because we've seen enough from him that we can pretty much assume what we're going to get. It's pretty much guaranteed that you're going to see some heroics from Paul Skenes. That you're going to see a guy out there that is just absolutely cool as a cucumber on the mound. You're going to see a guy that's throwing pitches that batters just throw their hands up. Like, I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? What in the world am I supposed to do? And even after a season of a whole lot of work that LSU has been asking Paul Skenes to do, and he's pitching at a higher level, and his arsenal looks as clean and as much variety as he's ever been pitching with. Let's not take him for granted, okay? Let's appreciate everything that he has done for this team and what I think we all can assume he will continue to do for this team. Because man, oh man, you can either have Paul Skenes on your team or you can bat against Paul Skenes, and I don't want the latter. And I am going to appreciate that we all have the former. So the good of the weekend, as it has been pretty much every weekend, as I can only assume it will continue to be the good of every weekend, Paul Skenes.